Hello, welcome to the latest video update here on jimmurphymp.com. As local people know who visit the website quite a lot, this is just a different way of communicating. It's my chance to reflect on the week that's been and the few days ahead. Let me know what you think about this and any other parts of the website. Now, over the past week we've had a really busy period. We've had Alistair Campbell, the former Director of Communications from Downing Street here in the constituency, just talking about modern media and the challenges of modern communications. We also very interestingly had Ivan Lewis, the Minister from the Foreign Office, responsible for the Middle East peace process, here at a meeting in the Glasgow Jewish Educational Forum, and I was delighted to be along at that as well. And what we had there was a 2-hour conversation about just what are the prospects for peace in the Middle East. And it was organised by the Glasgow Jewish Educational Forum. Tony Tankle and his colleagues did an excellent job. And you may have noticed, of course, and perhaps in the papers and the telly, that I was also in Benbecula in the Uists. The Ministry of Defence did a consultation about whether they should scale down the firing range and the testing range there in Benbecula. And after a lot of consideration, the decision was taken not to close or move any of that work. And that saved 125 jobs in a really fragile island's economy. And while the Ministry of Defence would have made some savings, the cost to the island community and to families and to the economy just would have been too great. But again, it emphasises the strength of the United Kingdom. The islands are separate from Scotland's mainland geographically, but not separated from the United Kingdom. And for as long as there's a country called the United Kingdom, the UK Ministry of Defence will continue to employ thousands of people in defence jobs across Scotland, not just in Benbecula, in Rosyth, and in the Clyde, where the work's happening, of course, for these two enormous carriers, aircraft carriers that the Royal Navy needs. Now, looking forward to the next few days, surgery's over the weekend, and again, if people want to book an appointment, just get in touch. But Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we have Pat McFadden, who's a Minister in the Department of Business, Peter Mandelson's deputy, coming here to Eastwood House to talk to about 50 local businesses about what the government's doing to try to get through this recession. And we also have 2 of the banks coming, the Royal Bank of Scotland and the Bank of Scotland, to talk about their lending policy. And perhaps we'll try and update the website just after that on Monday, and just how that meeting went and what local businesses thought of the conversation, because it's essential that, having saved the banks, that the banks now start to lend again. The British taxpayer prevented these centuries-old British institutions from falling over. There are also Scottish institutions, of course, these 2 banks, and it was that vast investment that kept them alive. And now they have to do their bit to keep businesses alive by getting lending again. Now, so much else is happening in the week. We've got Cabinet meeting in London, but we've also got Macmillan Cancer event, big fundraising event on Thursday night. And again, I'll post details after that about how perhaps you can make a contribution, large or small, to that. Now, over the past day or so, there's been real controversy about the Scottish Government's budget, the SNP Scottish Government's budget, and there's been a lot of huffing and puffing in the Scottish Parliament. I met the First Minister, Alex Salmond, over the past couple of days, and he again tried to make the argument, by contorting the books, I think, that they had got less money. Now, the truth is, the SNP Scottish Government has doubled the budget that Donald Dewar had when he was First Minister just 10 years ago. It's a remarkable change, a doubling of the budget over 1 decade. And next year, they'll have more money than they have this year. But for all of that, they still say it's not enough. And of course, government always wants to spend more money, but there's a responsibility to also save some money. And at a time of recession, it is really very important that government at all levels works harder to make every pound of taxpayers' money count even more. And that's why I think it's important the Scottish Government does make some efficiency savings, as well as continuing to invest. But they've made one really controversial decision, which is the cancellation of this airport link out of Glasgow Airport into Glasgow itself. And I think there's a danger here, and the leader of Glasgow City Council has spoken about this. There's a danger here that the SNP Scottish Government will be perceived to be out of touch with Glasgow and the west of Scotland. Now, of course, they haven't done enough over the time they've been in power for Glasgow and the west of Scotland. But I think this is entirely new territory, and it's a really kind of deliberate decision not to modernise the link between Glasgow Airport and Glasgow City. I think it will be a real body blow for the city. It's a real drag on the airport, and I think it's a backward move. That debate will continue. The last thing to say is to wish all local people, those in the Muslim community and those in the Jewish community, a really happy period over the next week or so. It's important for both communities, with the Muslim community themselves celebrating Eid, and the Jewish community celebrating their New Year. So for the Jewish community, Shana Tova, Happy New Year, and for the Muslim community, I hope you have a fantastic, enjoyable Eid celebrations. And I think one of the great things about East Renfrewshire is that we have the largest Jewish community in Scotland and the second biggest Muslim community in the whole of Scotland. And here we are in this kind of melting pot of East Renfrewshire, where people live side by side as neighbours and as friends, and without all the troubles that you see in other parts of the United Kingdom or across the world. So for both of those communities, have a really special few days, and I'll be back in the next couple of days to record another